Good morning. Welcome. Please rise in body and or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, We'll Build a Land. Today, except me, I'm a little hoarse. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist of Sarasota. I am Mary Lou Casadeval Keller, a member of the worship committee, which coordinates services when our minister, the Reverend Jay Rowland, is out of the pulpit. We especially want to welcome our visitors both on campus and over live stream, and we invite visitors to participate in any of our events. We welcome you to find out more about us and about Unitarian Universalism by registering on our virtual guest book, which you can find via a link on the homepage of our website at uusrq.org. And if you're here in person, there's the website. If you're here in person, there's a sign-up sheet for visitors at the welcome table. If you sign up, we will send you our weekly newsletter and Zoom links to our virtual events. We invite everyone to join us afterwards for refreshments and coffee hour, and refreshments and conversation. Members, please be sure to greet any visitors on your way out of the service today. They will have on the paper name tags, and if they have a red border, It's their first time. You never know who might become your new friend. Everyone is invited to the Rainbow Alliance potluck and meeting that's today, not next week, in the Reeb Room. There's no need to bring food. There's always plenty. And today we'll be voting on a TED Talk to show being transgender or non-binary. And I want to send a special thanks out to the stewardship team and to all who organized last night's wonderful event, and especially to those who shared their musical talents with us. It was a wonderful party, and it was wonderful to dance in the aisles here and enjoy ourselves. And it's not too late. You can still pledge today or any day in the office, but today there will be the bin will be on the welcome table for you to drop your pledge in. We are so close, but not quite. So if you haven't had a chance to get your pledge in, please do. We still need you. And I have a special announcement today from the Immigration Justice Coalition of Southwest Florida. Have you seen the photos of the ICE actions in Minnesota? Have you seen the photos of Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old boy in the blue bunny hat who was shipped to a detention center in Texas with his father? Today, we are all aware that immigrants in this country and in Sarasota are living in fear and having a very difficult time. Would you like to help immigrants but don't know how? If you're a white person, you're a privileged position to be an ally, and we can offer a list of suggestions for how you can help. And these are actions that you can take today. You can contribute food to the food drive for immigrants who are afraid to leave their homes. We have people who take food out and deliver them to immigrants. You can call your representatives and senators and ask that ICE agents remove their masks and wear ID, identification. You can write letters to newspapers and send postcards. Today, you can stop at the Immigration Justice table on the way out and pick up valuable information about opportunities on how to be a good ally and a good neighbor to our immigrant neighbors. And next Saturday, on Saturday, February 28th, there's going to be a volunteer anniversary celebration here at UU at 10 a.m. That's volunteers that volunteer now and those who are planning to volunteer. Reservations are requested at ijcsrq@gmail.com, or today you can stop by. There's an Immigration Justice table that will be set up just outside the Welcome Center doors. Together, we can make a difference. Big news, starting next Saturday, March 1st, we will be returning to one service, although looking out at the crowd today, you all showed up for the 10 o'clock, right? The forum will start at 9:15. There's an article in our newsletter with an introduction, with an explanation about the time change. And we open the back doors and we put extra chairs outside. So don't worry, show up next week too. And now I'm thrilled to introduce our speaker for today, Jeanay Johnson. Jeanay Johnson serves as the Director of Religious Education and Communications at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. A poet and spoken word artist known as Kali Poetic, yes. She brings language, story, and lived experience into every space she enters, believing that naming is sacred work. Currently completing her Master of Divinity degree with a focus on theology and world religions, Jeanay approaches ministry as an embodied passion practice rooted in justice, curiosity, and compassion. Her preaching and teaching weave together through scholarship, creativity, and a deep respect for diverse spiritual paths. Whether guiding poetry, officiating life milestones, or guiding youth, or offering poetry from the pulpit, Jeanay's work reflects a steady commitment to presence, truth-telling, and the courage to remain. And now for our choir.
Good morning. I know the choir's singing, but I'm over here. So I just wanted to take a real quick moment to invite you all. We're coming up on the Easter holiday, which is usually kind of a big music service. And this year, Reverend Roland is planning a wonderful play that has a lot of music involved. So think of it as an excellent opportunity if you are interested in singing, but you're maybe scared of the commitment or anything like that. Just think about joining us starting the middle of March 18th. Come to our rehearsals 3 weeks, and then you're welcome to sing at Easter. We're singing some fun kind of rock and roll music, and so it's going to be a blast. So you're always welcome to join, but think of this as like a heightened opportunity.
Oh, good morning, good morning. So for the opening reading this morning, I will be sharing, it's number 27 in Singing and Living the Tradition, and here I flow. It's called, I Am the Great and Fiery Force. I am that great and fiery force, sparkling in everything that lives, in shining of the river's course, in greening grass that glory gives. I shine and glitter on the seas, in the burning sun, in the moon and stars, in unseen wind, in verdant trees. I breathe within both near and far. And where I breathe, there is no death, and metals glow with beautiful rife. I am in all the Spirit's breath, thundered word, for I am life. Now for the chalice today. As we light this chalice, please join me now in affirming our value of transformation, which is printed in your order of service and is displayed on the screen behind me.
We adapt to the changing of the world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically.
A Time for All Ages by Catherine Bonner.
I don't know, I'm feeling extra tall today. Today's story is After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again, written by Dan Santat. My name is Humpty Dumpty, and this is my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I love being close to the birds. Then one day, I fell, and I'm kind of sort of famous about that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand, but it was just an accident. But it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together again. But most of me, there are some parts that could not be glued with bandages and glue. After that, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. I walked past the wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really miss the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents happen. I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. And then one day, an idea flew by. Making planes was a lot harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches. But day after day, I kept trying and trying until I got it just right. My plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. And I hadn't felt this happy in a very long time. And it wasn't the same as being up at the sky with the birds, but it was pretty close. Unfortunately, accidents do happen. They always do. I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on this plane and all the other things I had missed. And I decided I was going to climb that wall. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt, and I didn't want to admit it, but I was terrified. I didn't look up, I didn't look down, I just kept climbing one step at a time until I was no longer afraid. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. And hopefully you will remember me as the egg who got back up. Pow! And learned how to fly. Have you ever Googled what resilience means? I have. And it's amazing how many different definitions there are out there. And everyone seems to have their own take on it. I mean, besides the dictionary, there are YouTubes and TikToks and psychologists and activists and books and essays and everybody's got a slant on what resilience is. But I personally like the Cambridge Dictionary definition. The ability to be happy, successful, etc., again after something difficult or bad has happened. But how do we do that? Well, I think it requires courage to overcome fear. And I think it requires having an open mind to adapt to new situations. But most importantly, I think it requires us to know who we are and have the self-confidence to know, I got this. Humpty Dumpty showed all of these in this story. And so may it always be. I now invite any children and youth to join me and Miss Kristen in the West Wing for a lesson on building resilience. Thank you.
So thank you for whoever put this podium here at the bottom. You make me feel so much taller. Usually I wear heels to give the illusion of height. I don't have to do that today. So for our centering in words, I've prepared some words for all of us in this space today. So while you sit in your spaces, I am going to ask for you to shut your eyes and relax. Even if you don't want to, fight that discomfort of closing your eyes. No one's looking at you. I see you, but I'll be reading. Let us begin here. Not in perfection, not in certainty, but here. The weight of it in your seats, the miracle of it, still choosing to rise each morning. Resilience is not loud. It is not always triumphant. Sometimes it is simply the decision to stay, the decision to grow, to stay in perseverance, to stay in honesty, to stay in the work of becoming aware. Breathe in. Breathe out. This reality that we live within holds many stories, stories of loss and repair like Humpty Dumpty, stories of questions that did not break you, stories of seasons that changed and rearranged you. Florida knows something about those seasons that shift quietly and sometimes abruptly. The sky that can turn in an hour, a storm that arrives uninvited, and still our hands join in solidarity. Feel your hands on your lap. Resilience is embedded in the uncomfortable truths. It is also the returning. It is the way that the tide withdraws only to gather itself again. Exhale. You are not required to be unshakable, unbreakable. You're invited to be rooted. You're invited to come apart and come together again, rooted in shared purpose, rooted in the courage to breathe again. So as we flow in this hour, let us soften what we can soften. Let us strengthen what must be strengthened. Resilience is not reactive, it is proactive. Breathe and notice your body. Let us remember that we are not floating alone on this third rock from the sun, but part of a living interconnectedness that holds each of us, that brings us here each Sunday. You may open your eyes. We begin in presence. We begin in this body. We begin in resilience. And that in itself is enough. I ask you to sit with that silence for about a minute. And this moment, actually before, when you all walked in, I know there's at least 33 of you that received cards. Is that true? You did? Wonderful, I see some hand nods, thank you. I know you're wondering, what is that for? We're getting to it right now. Hold it. Resilience is often mistaken for endurance. We celebrate the survival. We admire the person who can withstand pressure, who can carry the weight, who can push through, but endurance alone can be a quiet erasure. You can endure something and still lose yourself inside of it. The courage to remain is something deeper. It's not simply surviving the moment. It is staying present in your body, in your community, and in the truth of who you are when the world feels uncertain. Remaining begins with naming. I have a poem called Nomenclature, where I wrote about the ways I used to sell myself short for an idea, a concept. That line for me was not about ambition, it was about distortion. It was about how I shrunk myself to fit in the image of what others had of me. Now imagine the constraints of fear keeping you from your own light, confined to an imaginary box. It's like a wild stallion tamed to a picnic chair with flossing string. That shrinking becomes performance instead of inhabiting your true self. Endurance can look like that. You endure by becoming smaller, but you survive by adapting your edges. But to remain requires something else. Later in that same poem, I say, call me as I am, don't call me a queen, honey, I'm talking supreme. That for me was my reclamation. That was not ego, that was my presence. To insist on being called as you are is to refuse erasure. It is to reject misnaming. It is to declare that your story does not belong to someone else's convenience. Think about the climate we are in today. That is a thread running through the lives of the figures that I shared my personal deck with you all for the Black History. Now, who has Elijah McCoy's card? Can you raise that card up? Where are you out there? I know you're out there somewhere. Somebody out there has it. And I'm going to just trust that it's there. Who has heard of the real McCoy? That's where it came from. Elijah McCoy remained in his craft. He did not reduce his brilliance when imitations surrounded him. What he did was create an oil drip system that transformed the industry. And when people demanded the real McCoy, they were asking for authenticity. He remained in his excellence long enough that it became undeniable. It's 2026, and we still know what that means, without even knowing the baseline of the story. I'm gonna try this again. Who has Sarah Logan Frazier's card? You gotta read the cards, y'all. It's for you to read. But it's good, it's good. Now, Sarah, she remained in medicine when the profession resisted her presence. She practiced obstetrics and cared for women's bodies in rooms that questioned her authority. At the time, she wasn't even welcome to practice it. She did not abandon her intellect because they didn't want her to be there. She stayed and she healed. And a lot of things that's followed in Western medicine today comes from the foundation of which she built. I'm not even gonna do this with the third one, but it was Mary Maynard. Marie Maynard Daly. She remained in her scientific inquiry. She earned her doctorate in chemistry and pursued research that would help establish the link between cholesterol and heart disease. Remaining for her meant trusting that her mind was not mistaken in the room. It meant that inhabiting scholarship was sacred work. Queen Amina also remained in leadership. She did not shrink her vision because power was contested. She expanded territory and influence with strategy and resolve. Remaining sometimes looked like occupying a space without apology. That ominous states that I am, rooting right here. Each of these people I named and that you see displayed before me faced pressure to withdraw because of the times, because of the circumstances, the welcoming, the unwelcoming. They were being forced to soften and they didn't budge, pressed to disappear. But they did not simply endure, they remained rooted in who they were. Hence why we still know about the real McCoy. In nomenclature, I write, I'm feeling more like myself, Jeanay Johnson, AKA Cali Poetic. That shift for me was theological. It is movement from persona to presence, from survival identity to rooted self. The courage to remain is the courage to become more of yourself, not less. We live in a time when it's easy to drift into performance. It's easy to repeat language we have memorized without actually embodying it. We have to integrate it. It's easy to endure systems without interrogating them. In the poem I end with, for some odd reason, we forgot. Forgotten what, you ask? Forgotten how powerful we are when we are united. Forgotten how responsible we are for our own reflections and outward projections because our inner and outer children need protection. I'm going to try to not get poetry up in here, so don't get me started. Forgotten that renaming also requires consciousness. Remaining is not hardness, it is rootedness. It is refusing to be liquefied by every cultural current. It is choosing to stay awake, and remaining is communal. So when I shared, I am that great fiery force, remember that we're not affirming individual ego. We are declaring a shared presence. When you sung, we build a land, we're committing to a shared ground because building requires staying. It requires one more faithful step. It requires showing up again and again, every tomorrow, even when certainty is thin. The courage to remain begins with naming yourself truthfully. It continues with inhabiting your body fully, even when the quality of life doesn't feel like how it used to be or how you want it to be. It becomes sacred still when we do it all together. You are here this morning in your vessels, within this space, your spirit, your energy. In this moment, we're feeling. That is not passive. That is the act in itself of remaining. And sometimes that is where resilience truly begins. Let our offering begin. Thank you.
Hello. Every fourth Sunday, we share the plate with a local charity. And I'm here to introduce Antonia Roll from Project 180. And those of you who have cards, you're going to be putting these in the basket along with your donation, or even if, whatever. You're going to be putting these back in the basket so we can use them for the next service. I had Nefertiti, by the way. Antonia?
Hello, my name is Antonia Roll. Good morning. For years and years here in Sarasota County and Manatee County and DeSoto County, I was a social worker. I ran the community resource centers for Goodwill, and I helped people find jobs and connect to resources in the community. I saw that there were certain populations that struggled more than others when it came to finding jobs. And now I work for an organization called Project 180, and we help people find jobs that have been incarcerated. We work with people to find housing and transportation. As someone who ran community resource centers for years, I know that finding a job is hard when you have a background. And if you don't have a job and a career, how do you keep yourself from going back to prison? So Project 180 meets people where they're at, which is usually at the bus stop coming right from prison. We are calling prison officers. We have relationships with probation and parole and release officers. So we're reaching out all across the state of Florida to find out who are our citizens returning to Sarasota and DeSoto counties. And when we find out who those people are, we ask them to call us every week. They call us collect, we email them, we develop a relationship with them and find out what they need to survive and to not go back to prison. So it's my honor to do this work. We bring financial literacy into the prisons. We also bring workforce development, where we teach people how to interview and how to make resumes, and we teach them what industries they can go back into and how to rebuild their lives. This work is deeply meaningful to me because I'm here today because someone gave me a second chance. We're speaking about hope and resilience. I grew up in a household where people loved me. Not everyone had that. So I guess my job now is to give people hope and to love them. We have 3 residential homes where we love on them. And many times, these men have never felt love. Imagine growing up with families in addiction. You're very hesitant to receive that love. So it takes a long time. They're with us for 6 months to 2 years, and we love them until they love themselves, and then they love each other. So really, it's just a culture of love, and we hold them accountable. They have to do a lot. We have a pretty good reputation in the prison system for being a place that you only go to if you want to change your life. You can't slip our house managers $20 and pass your drug test. So we invite people in the community into our house. We have house meetings. Everyone's required to go to NA and AA meetings. I've met people who brought Franklin Covey meetings into our house and taught 7 habits. We've had people that came and taught financial literacy, smoking cessation classes, because everyone in recovery smokes. So we would love to partner with you. We have individuals that just, they don't even know how to buy a car. They've never seen self-checkout. So if you would like, we have a podcast you can listen to where we interview some of our participants for an hour. We have a documentary that follows some of the guys in their journey. And my name's Antonia. I'd love to talk to you if you have any questions or would like to learn more or partner with us. Thank you for having me this morning.
If remaining begins with naming, it is sustained through practice. Elijah McCoy did not wake up one morning and decide to be iconic. I bet he had no idea on how far his range was going to go. He trained, he studied, he refined his craft in an environment that was hell-bent on underestimating him. Have any of you ever felt underestimated? By a show of hands, we laugh, but I want to see some hands. Gratitude. Thank you for being vulnerable in this space. Wonderful. The courage to remain in his case was not a loud defiance. It was a disciplined consistency. It was continuing to develop his mind when the system did not rush to affirm him. Remaining sometimes looks like mastery. It looks like tending your gift so faithfully that even those who doubted you must eventually acknowledge it. And sometimes that doesn't happen when we're being underestimated. So what does that mean for you? It means remaining in your calling even when recognition is delayed. Do we do what we do to be recognized? Or do we do what we do because we can, and we feel called to be the one to do it? There's a difference between a calling and ego, and also being able to take that picture to post on social media. It means not abandoning your excellence because applause is inconsistent. Sometimes we won't be acknowledged for the things that we do. That doesn't mean stop. It means that trusting that integrity compounds over time. Sarah Fraser teaches us something different. She remained in care. In rooms where she was not centered, she centered others. She chose not to withdraw her skill because entry was difficult. Remaining for her was relational. It was embodied. It was tending to life in the midst of resistance. So again, what does that mean for you? It means remaining present in community when it would be easier to isolate. It means choosing care over cynicism. It means not letting exhaustion turn you into someone who no longer believes people are worth the effort. Mary Maynard Daly remained in inquiry. She did not surrender intellectual curiosity because representation was scarce. She pursued knowledge rigorously. Remaining for her meant that trusting that truth matters, even when you're not the only one, when you are the only one that looks like you in the lab. It means remaining thoughtful in a culture that rewards reaction. It means doing the deeper work of understanding rather than settling for surface opinion. It means refusing intellectual stagnancy. Queen Amina remained in leadership. Leadership is not comfort. Leadership is scrutiny. Leadership is visibility. She did not relinquish authority because what does disrupting expectation mean for you? It means occupying your space, your vessel, your body fully. It means not shrinking your voice to make others feel comfortable. It means leading with clarity when retreat would be so much easier. These lives are not museum pieces, they are mirrors. They may have darker skin, but they are still you. We are all us and each other. You are me, and guess what? We are always interconnected, even if the system strives so hard to keep us apart. And here's the harder truth. Remaining also is not glamorous. Today is history in the making. I know you weren't expecting like a history lesson, but here we are. Every era of existence had some form of calamity, and lo and behold, we are in this right now. It is not always victorious like being swooped from a falling building by Spider-Man, just in time. It is taking the time to learn to teach our youth how to embrace our inner selves, how to embrace our communities, because in every era, there were still people within it who made history by doing something about it. You are actively learning this now. It is time to get liquefied down to the atomic structure of being, like the caterpillar to the butterfly. That cannot be a comfortable process. That is not a metaphor for comfort. That is a disorientation that often precedes transformation. And then voila, the beautiful butterfly. Wow, we marvel at its beauty, but rarely acknowledge what it has to go through to get there. Remaining also means allowing yourself to be broken without becoming bitter. It also means looking inward. No one looks in their reflections. They purport solutions and outward projections. Remaining requires reflection. Who am I in this vast space? It requires whether the patterns we critique externally are also operating internally. What are we putting out there we're also doing within? It requires refusing to live on autopilot, because that's easy too. And as we know, the system with the 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, it's really easy to fall into it. It becomes reflection without hardness. Resilience with reflection becomes growth. We live in a time of rising waters. We feel it socially, politically, personally. More waters rising is not just an anthem, it's a diagnosis. The question is not whether waters rise. The question is whether we remain grounded when they do. Remaining is how we build land, how we build roads, not by fantasy, but by fidelity. Not by slogans, but by staying in relationship with one another. Well, building land is not aspirational poetry, it's a covenant. A promise that we will not disappear from one another when work becomes complex. The courage to remain is not about protecting your own identity, it is about protecting each other's presence. It is about saying, I will stay in this conversation, I will stay in this community. And in our final hymn, it's not sentimental, it's practical theology. Remaining is a leap of faith. Fear is way too easy and often a cop-out from attempting to try. It is imperative to take the leap. So again, Elijah McCoy took steps in studies, Sarah Fraser took steps in care, Marie Maynard Dalek took steps in research, and Queen Amina took steps in leadership. None of them knew that they would become symbols. They simply remained faithful to the work in front of them. And that is the invitation this morning, not to endure silently, not to perform resilience, but to remain present and embodied, to name yourself truthfully, to examine your reflection honestly, to commit to this community faithfully, to take one more step courageously, to side with love. The world will always remain uncertain. That is not new. What is new is every day is your decision to stay rooted anyway. The courage to remain is not loud. It is steady, it is embodied, and it is communal. And it begins again here. In this moment, I'll ask you to open your hymnal and turn to hymnal number 1018 for Come and Go With Me. Thank you.
Come
remember, you guys, you read the screen. You don't have to open the book. Duly noted. So my closing words for you today, as you leave this space and re-enter the realm we call Earth, Gaia, and so forth, remember that resilience is not hardness. It is breath returning after the wave has passed. It is the bending without believing that you are broken. It is resting without calling failure. It is choosing to love again and again and again. So look around at your community. Get to know your neighbor. Get to know the new ones. You're not walking out alone. You're a woven, rooted in shared purpose, carrying community in your body. Remember that the winds will still come and the moon will wax and wane. You know how to bend, like the plants outside. You are still standing, and I thank you for being. Thank you.